I'm finding clever ways to camp out in the bush and still maintain some level of cleanliness. The balmy weather allows me to take a swim on dusk at Solomon Town Beach and then rinse off with a beachside freshwater shower. As I sat there watching the sunset, I think about how little we really need to be happy. I ride on to Whyalla, which is like Port Augusta, a one-trick industrial city. All bad news, the steelworks closing, the town's future in question. I then hit the flatlands. Straight roads stretch to the horizon. You take a turn, and then another straight road stretching to the horizon. The landscape is flat and uninspiring. I took this route because I was lured by what the tourism brochures call the seafood trail. Each your way around the coast. I'm starting to feel it was a bit of a gimmick, but I suppose at least these roads will prepare me for my next challenge, the Nullarbor, a 1,200 kilometre stretch of nothingness. After a solid day of riding, I start looking for a place to camp. I head towards the coast, not really knowing what I'd find. I come across a little place called Port Gibbon that has a campsite, but it is full of grey nomads and their flash caravans and brand new fully decked out four-wheel drives. I actually feel safer and prefer to camp out alone. I just like being surrounded by the sounds of nature, so I ride on down the coast and find a great little track that leads me to the edge of the continent, where I watch the sun slowly set and light up the sky. I then ride a little further on and decide to set up right on the beach, the sound of the surf lulling me to sleep. I finally arrive in Port Lincoln, the seafood capital of Australia. Time to get busy eating the sea's bounty. Straight away I get some Coffin Bay oysters, which I devour there and then using my pannier as a table. I eat enough seafood to last a week, and later visit a local Italian restaurant to try a seafood pizza with local prawns and calamari, washed down with a cleansing Cooper's beer. It's nearly worth passing through all that barren landscape. I'm getting used to camping out, but at the moment the hardest thing for me is just before going to bed, those sunset hours where I'm alone. Not everyone can handle solo travel. It takes a particular fortitude, but I must be honest, I still have all my toys, my laptop, my phone. I do feel I'm starting to slow down a little bit though. I do a big run up the coast, resorting to old tricks, trying to stretch as much riding into my day as I can by tailing a four-wheel drive for 90 kilometres to avoid the ruse. I see this church complete with white picket fence in the middle of nowhere. I pull in to have a look and find it open, the doors swinging in the breeze. I go inside and it looks as though it's still being used. This is what used to make up a town: a church, a hall, a pub and a general store. I find the Sharinga general store next door. It has a makeshift bar serving cans. It's an interesting enough setup that I decide to have a beer before setting off to find a camp for the night. Then I met Lewis. Lewis recently moved to the area, lured by cheap land. He has an interesting history and may well have chose Sharinga because it was a bit of an outpost, free from such trappings of civilization as law and order. We talk past midnight, and by this stage I've had a few more beers, so the owner graciously lets me stay in a caravan out the back. Of our hours of talk, I will reveal but one story. Once Lewis was working as a surveyor in the Western Desert, a remote place called Lake Mackay near the border of the Territory and West Australia. He spied through his looking glass the last of a nomadic people, several men and women, not a thread of clothing, carrying various Stone Age implements. That was 1981. I find stories like this fascinating, that even after 200 plus years of British colonialism, there are still pockets of country so remote, so harsh, that people can remain hidden. I'm told the next morning I should visit Sharinga Beach and its sand dunes. I take some back roads along the coast and find a nice left-hander surf break with only 4 mates sharing waves. I used to surf in my 20s, and one of my aims on this trip is to once again try surfing. I meander up the coast, in no real hurry, stopping off at various spots and checking the stunning scenery. At most places, I have the entire coastline to myself. While in Sharinga, I saw a coffee table book they had on display about the mythical desert surf break called Cactus. There was a line in it that resonated with me. It is important, from time to time, to slow down, to go away by yourself and simply be. Only then will nature reveal her secrets. I really felt terribly unimportant as I observed the beauty around me. Nature just doesn't give a damn about me or my stupid little goals and dreams. It just carries on regardless. My focus changes. I see tracks in the sand from the creatures of the night. I see a myriad of life in these dunes. I watch two caterpillars, one behind the other, march across the parched earth, the wind sporadically knocking them over. Do they have a god? I thought. Do they think they are better than other caterpillars, based on their colour or creed? Out here I feel the indifference of the universe. Out here it is the rule of nature that is important, not man-made philosophies.